to Winning the Division, episode number 54. This is the AFC East preview edition. I am your host, Ryan Smith. Before we get into the AFC East and welcome our guest tonight, we start with first things first, like we always do. And my lighting is a little bad tonight, so I apologize on that. But hopefully everyone can see me okay. Let's go ahead and start, and this will be pretty quick as we get our guest in here. Let's start with Micah Parsons. There are reports that he is unsettled in Dallas amidst this new deal that's currently we think it's coming, but it's Jerry Jones. You never know. So will Micah Parsons get his new deal before training camp, or is it going to be more like the season opener?
I think it's going to be close to the season opener. I saw some comments made by Jerry Jones saying they made Dak Prescott the highest paid quarterback, and he's missed 2/3 of the games. They said that Micah Parsons wants to be paid, but he missed 6 games last year when ultimately he missed 4 games. I think that Jerry Jones wants to do things his way for the sake of doing it his way. I'll never understand why. Why would you want your best player to be disgruntled? Who's Jerry Jones is mad at, who we're probably going to talk about, is the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers gave T.J. Watt all that money when you could have gave the money to Micah Parsons in the summer of 2023, going into 2024. You waited. Now the number is only going up as long as you wait.
Yeah. How about the ex-boss of the NFL Players Association, Lloyd, out today, resigning at his role after his equity firm at Carlisle and all of that gets kind of exposed here a little bit. And J.C. Tretter, the former president, also resigned today as well.
You know, when you want to know why the NFL PA is one of the weakest PAs, I mean, because you look at stuff like this, look at people at the top. You talk about Mr. Holland, who tried to say that he didn't have a conflict of interest when the consulting firm that he works for wanted to be, wanted to be in the ownership, and he signed an NDA to when the owners went back and they colluded, saying they wouldn't give players guaranteed money, going back to the Kyler Murray and guys type deals. And then we talk about J.C. Tretter. Look, J.C. is the most disappointed because he said, quote, he had nothing to do with everything going on around him, and him and his family has taken too much of this, and he ain't getting nothing from this. You ain't getting nothing from this, J.C. You ain't getting no, what you thought you were going to get from it, you didn't get it because the interest supposed to be that of the players. Mr. Holland didn't do it. JC didn't do it. Now both of them are out. Hopefully whoever is in the decision-making process will be more diligent when it comes to this. I'm going to keep saying this. Outside influences when it comes to being over the PA don't work. I don't know how good or bad of a job DeMaurice Smith did, but just because you were successful in another field has nothing to do with this field. Good riddance to both of them. I hope we get some good leadership in there, not just for the current players, but mostly for the future players like myself. For future players who haven't played yet and former players like myself.
Not to get political, but D.C. mayor focused on the RFK deal, not Trump talk, as President Trump saying that he might block the Commanders' new stadium if they don't go back to the Redskins' name.
I think this goes all the way back to when I think Donald Trump wanted to buy the Buffalo Bills or somebody like that, and the NFL blocked him. So now he's trying to be able to have something to do with the nation's capital team, that being the Commanders, saying first he said they need to go back to the Redskins. Now he's saying he's going to block the new deal. Listen, I'm not getting political. If you're going to tell players to stay out of politics, politicians stay out of sports. How about that?
Yeah. All right, last few here as we welcome in our guest here. Packers right tackle Tom reaching an extension. Zach Tom, 4 years, $88 million. George Kalafis at the Chiefs, $93 million, 4-year deal extension. Our boy from last week, Nyheim Hines, tried up for the Chargers on Monday and got his agreement. We had him on the podcast last week. Very excited for him personally, and good to see him out there in LA with Jim Harbaugh. And then your quarterback, Will Levis, to have surgery and miss the 2025 season for the Tennessee Titans off the shoulder injury that didn't from last year.
Listen, shout out to Nyheim. Had him on the show last week, man. Happy for him. He said he stayed in shape. Now he get to go out there and compete for a backup job. For those Chargers. I feel awful for Will Levis. Yes, the running joke on the winning division and all sports shows is Will Levis, but it's all in fun. I never ever want to see a guy miss the entire season. People kept saying, why did he wait this long? Because I heard he's had, a lot of situations, nerve damage or whatever, cartilage, in that shoulder. You mentioned Kalafis. I can't say his name. The defensive end, George Kalafis. George Kalafis, been a really, really productive player. I already got 2 Super Bowls with Kansas City. They want to retool their defensive line and start with him. And you talk about the big tackle for Green Bay. Jordan Love, he needs to stay upright. which means two things. I need to pay my tackle and make sure he's paid handsomely. They did both. Shout out to the Packers. Shout out to the Chiefs. Shout out to Naheem. Naheem Nightmare Himes. I think I'm saying is yes. And Will Levis, man, look, you're gonna miss 2025, but still try to be a mentor for a Cam Ward.
And as I get my light working, just passing the 5-minute mark here, last one, Bengals president Duke Tobin, owner Mike Brown coming out about Shamar Stewart, saying foolishness that Shamar Stewart is still unsigned and that he needs to get to camp pronto. Foolishness
from the Bengals or foolishness from Shamar? No, this comes down to ownership. Take the clause out. Take the clause out of the young man's contract. He would have been in camp. They're talking about now that he's back at Texas A&M at College Station, practicing with Texas A&M, trying to go back to college. Take the injury clause out the young man's contract. He's not an idiot. The Bengals are showing why Sam Herbert, I kind of see why Sam Herbert went ahead and did retire. Trey Hendrickson still isn't signed. Shamar Stewart isn't signed. Your leading tackle from last year, y'all cut him. So basically, the only three people on the team who seem to be happy with everything going on, what? Is Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins?
T. Higgins, yep.
I mean, it's gonna be a lot of points scored on offense. Problem is, they ain't gonna be able to stop nobody on defense. I would love to say I feel sorry, but it's the Bengals. I mean, what are we doing? It's the Bengals.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's turn our attention now to the AFC East. That is the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, and the New England Patriots. And welcome in our guests tonight for the AFC East preview. I'm bringing them all in right now. We have everyone represented except for the Miami Dolphins. I had a guy for the Miami Dolphins, and he could not come in last second. So we'll just get the Dolphins in here somewhere as the three fans and content creators here. They know the Dolphins don't show up except for when Tua is not injured. So, outside of that, the Dolphins aren't going to do much anyway. Let's welcome in our guests, though. Lisa, TJ, and Marvin, introduce yourselves and tell us how you became a fan or a creator of your team, content creator for some of us in the room. And, anyone can go first in any order.
I can start this off, I guess. My name is TJ Mabardy. I am working and writing for Patriots Lead, so that's who I'm representing tonight. I've been a diehard sports fan for as long as I can remember. Grew up in Massachusetts, so naturally all of my New England alliances is where I ended up on. And it was pretty helpful as well to have the greatest quarterback of all time leading the way to help gravitate towards football as well.
I'm Marvin Powell III, a former NFL player. Grew up in this Jets situation. My father was the number one pick for the Jets in '77, and for the last 49 years, the Jets have been breaking my heart. With that said, I think things are going to be different moving forward. We'll discuss that in a minute.
I'm Lisa Scott. I've been a diehard long-time Buffalo Bills fan. I was born and raised there, so you cannot be born and raised in Buffalo. We're the only New York State team truly hails from and pays the taxes to the state of New York for sure. So yeah, you can't grow up there. You can't be born there without becoming part of the mafia. So here I am.
Awesome. Well, we'll get started. I emailed everyone some questions just to get your pulse of the team and whatnot. So tell us about what you're looking forward to in this 2025 season, just to kind of start out. It doesn't have to be your specific team. It could just be the NFL in general, or it could be something with your team.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking to see what happens with the Jets in these first few games. We start out really with a tough schedule. I can see us, coming out the gate, 2-5, to be honest with you, in these first 7 games. But considering that we're playing in an NFL that has less practice, they don't have 2-a-days anymore, and we have a new quarterback. I want to see what Justin does, what Fields does with this young but good offensive line, these weapons. I want to see how he starts out in these first few games, because for me, that's going to say a lot. I think the NFL season is long, so there's time for them to kind of get the continuity and get everything going on offense. But seeing Justin out the gate is really important for all Jet fans, because we start out with Pittsburgh, and those next 6 games are going to be tough. So we got to see something off the gate from Justin. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'd say the number one thing for Patriots fans, a little bit of a similar boat, is the entire Patriots future right now is wrapped up in the quarterback position and Drake May and figuring out whether or not he can be the franchise player. That said, the Patriots were also the highest spending team of the offseason, so a completely retooled defense, some key additions on offense as well. So this is a very different looking team based off of what we had last year. And then on top of it all is the difference between a Mike Vrabel coached team and a Gerard Mayo coached team. Obviously, there was a lot of dysfunction both on the field and then a lot in the media as well. So the vibes were pretty low last year in New England. And I do think that this year it's just going to be really interesting to see how they are able to rebuild their culture with a lot of new faces in town as well.
Yeah, I think for Buffalo Bills fans, it's both something we're looking forward to, but some nostalgia. So it's our last season in our original stadium, and we're moving to a brand new, awesome state-of-the-art stadium next season. So I think it's exciting to see that new stadium go up, and hopefully we'll be able to put a visit from the Vince Lombardi Trophy in that stadium this year, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Marvin, first and foremost, you talking about people can break your heart. I'm a Falcons fan. You don't know what heartbreak is, sir. I'm telling you that right now. You do not know. TJ is over here with the New England Patriots. I mean, my kids were watching the Super Bowl. Today, I'm like, what are y'all doing? Oh, this was a good Super Bowl day. Turn it off. Turn it off right now. But I got to ask you, Marvin, the last time the Jets had a quarterback that the Jets fans wanted was Mark Sanchez. Back-to-back AFC championship games. Mark Sanchez, if you want to call him that. What does Justin Fields mean to a Jets fan base that Jets is looking for consistency at the quarterback position before he can actually be elite?
Well, I'll tell you what, with Sanchez, USC Trojan, might I add, great Trojan, might I add. Like you said, he took us to 2 AFC title games back-to-back. We had a great defense, great running game. To be honest with you, I think even though he had success early, I think he's a guy who benefited from having success early and could have used that moving forward if he stayed at the same organization, coaching, and had that kind of continuity. With Fields coming from 2 different teams and having that experience, showing us flashes, we're trying to see if this guy really has what it takes when you give him some tools. Again, we have a young and upcoming offensive line. We have young talent. We have real talent. We have a defense. We have defensive-minded coaches, along with this coach out of the OC out of Detroit. But for Fields, we think he's the future. We hope he's the future because we haven't had that in so long. We haven't had a guy, in a while. So we're hoping that this guy is what we think he is. We're hoping that all the highlights and all the opportunities that we saw him do well come together in New York. Because if he is what we need him to be, then the Jets are built for the future, and Jet fans are excited about that because it all starts with him. And I'm believing. I think we're believing.
TJ, Josh McDaniels is back in New England. I mean, they're trying to get that old thing back in a big way up there, in New England. You mentioned Mike Vrabel. I got drafted by the Titans, so it's a sour taste in my mouth to see. I think he always wanted to be. They knew he was going to be the guy up there in New England, but Josh McDaniels, everybody wants to talk about Sean McVay and how much of a genius he is calling plays. I mean, Josh McDaniels ain't far off. The only 2 things Josh McDaniels has done in his life that he was great: 1, drafted Tim Tebow, and telling the coach, I really don't want to be a head coach. And that probably was a good decision. The second one. How is it having a guy like Josh McDaniels back in town? And while the offense is going to be a lot more sophisticated, should we expect this offense to get back, to just playing quality offense for a defense that while they paid a lot of money, it's going to take them a little while to get that continuity together?
Yeah, well, the instability at offensive coordinator for the Patriots in recent years has been a disaster. They're going on something like 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years, and you get somebody in Josh McDaniels who a lot of people want to look at the head coaching stints and the way that it didn't work out in both Denver and Las Vegas. But overall, he has done an excellent job he's been in the league for now around 2 decades now, and he has been on some really successful offenses, which does include the 2021 Patriots with Mac Jones. And obviously it's easy to say that he was able to maybe ride the coattails of Tom Brady during his tenure, but Mac Jones was a Pro Bowl quarterback in 2021 in his rookie season with Josh McDaniels, and things really fell off of the rails after that. Now, a lot of that is personnel based and the failure to surround Mac Jones with good talent. But at the same time, I think that Josh McDaniels just understands, as you put it, the organization of the system and the fact that he is known for specifically limiting turnovers, which could go such a far way for this Patriots team that has a young quarterback in Drake May, and now ideally should have a defense that can actually get stops based off of all of their signings from this past offseason. And I'm optimistic about his future in New England, specifically because of the fact that he has had these multiple flameouts in other places as a head coach. One of the biggest things when you're developing a young quarterback is stability at the offensive coordinator position. And I think that the Patriots made out really well with the combination of getting the culture setter and defensive philosophist and Mike Vrabel and hiring an offensive coordinator that there's a pretty low risk of him ultimately getting poached, and that the Patriots can finally get back to having some continuity over a stretch of multiple years in the most important developmental stage of Drake May's career.
Before Lisa goes for her next for her answer, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our Dolphins fan. I got him in last second. Sent a few feelers out today, so let's welcome Omar Kelly from the Miami Herald, columnist down there in South Beach. What's up, Omar?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
You got Omar Kelly in the. I know who Omar is. I'm gonna act like I don't know, but yeah, just saying. Before I get to Omar, Lisa, I mean, I got to ask a question everybody want to know.
Okay, go
why
for it.
Why Sean McDermott got? I mean, what's up with the tush push, man? I mean, really? I mean, he wanted it out that bad? Really? That bad?
I mean, I think maybe it's partly because we didn't do it very successfully, right? Like some of our losses were hard because there was no blocking on the offensive line. The defense was kind of taking a snooze. We did lose Von Miller, and I think the feeling in Buffalo is like, well, okay, cool. Like we're not seeing the results we need on the defensive side. So who knows? I think he ultimately caved, but yeah, it was a little bit of a moment of like, really?
And now that we got Omar, Mr. Omar Kelly on the show, I mean, I think the question everybody's asking right now is, I mean, how do we keep the superstars happy that's left in Miami? Because we know Tyreek Hill, and I got to refresh X Omar to see, has he said he want to leave again? I don't know what's going on. Like Mike McDaniels, all jokes aside, Mike McDaniels is a really, 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 really good coach when Tua is healthy. Obviously, if your starter goes down, that's going to make any offense, look not as good. But how much pressure is Mike McDaniels under? Not necessarily from a coaching standpoint. Does he still have the locker room based off what some of these disgruntled superstars, which, the team is going to flow through the superstars, even if one of them is now in Pittsburgh?
I think that this offseason was a major push for him to gain more power, influence, cachet in the locker room. They are going to a younger, cheaper roster, and that means there's a lot of opportunity for young players to make a name for themselves. And obviously, when you make a name for yourself, you got the opportunity to make that dinero. So it's trying to be kind of a resurgence in this rebuild. Obviously, 7 years in, you would expect to be seeing the payment, the fruits of your labor, but that hasn't been the case for this Dolphins team that began the tanking process in 2019. While they do have Tua as their quarterback, as you said, health has been a major issue. Last season, 6.5 games without Tagovailoa. Obviously, they struggled without him. They had the worst offense in the NFL when he wasn't on the sidelines, the 18th best offense collectively when you put in their struggles. But in the first years, they had a top 6 offense. First in 2021, 23. Sixth in 2023 and first in 2024. So the question is, can they get back to that? And I actually do believe that they can get back to that. The question is, does Tua get the protection that he needs? He's clearly got the weaponry, but is he going to get the protection that he needs?
Little fun question before we kind of get into the preview nuggets of them all. Omar, I apologize since you're last second. I didn't get to send you some of the questions here in advance.
I'll survive.
Yeah, I know. You're smart enough, I know. So obviously Josh Allen, for those of you who are not the Bills, you can certainly say Josh Allen, but I was more trying to say somebody that might be a little less notable on each team. Is there a non-star player that you think on your team could take the next step on your team this year? Obviously, so Lisa, obviously you can't say Josh Allen.
Well, I mean, I think Damar Hamlin is a great example of somebody who went from a very tragic incident to a really mediocre start at Buffalo to really starting to have some legs under him and still making some mistakes, but also really making leaps and bounds and improvements. And I'm excited to see this season how he's further developed and further trained, because, he's working hard, and he really has become a real darling in that community in Buffalo and doing a lot there. So definitely the heart of what Sean McDermott tries to create in the locker room is that attitude of, we're here to play a game, but we're also so ingrained in the identity of our fans that are in the stands. So it's really, I think it'll be really interesting to see what he does this year.
I think for me, in the Jets, I really look at Jermaine Johnson coming off an injury, entering the season, PUP, explosive player, a guy who I was really excited about. We got in the first round out of Florida State. Physical player, which is the way the game should be played, which is I love that you get that from him, the physicality. I saw it in college, and just from everything that I'm hearing and just seeing, he's looking good. He's out here running, putting pressure on that Achilles, and he'll start off slow. But this is a guy who I genuinely believe in this 17-game season, at some point mid-season and toward the end, you're going to see this guy come on strong. And I'm very excited about him and what he's going to do entering his second, I think, full season.
I'd say for the Patriots, someone that I definitely have an eye on is Christian Barmore, where he's coming off of a season that was plagued with injuries. He had blood clots going into the year, missed training camp, didn't get to play until week 11, and then only played 4 games. But he was in the top 5 for sacks out of all interior defensive linemen in 2023. He is still very solid against the run as well. I mean, he is a big body in the middle of the line that can apply pressure on the quarterback. And then you add Milton Williams to that mix as well. And that could be one of the most terrifying, hefty pass rushes in the NFL. And I think that Barmore is slated for a bounce back season with a full training camp under his belt. And he is going to be so crucial to the Patriots defense that wants to take significant strides this upcoming season.
For Miami, I would say Jalen Phillips is a young player that's trending upwards. This is a guy who looks like a Greek god from a physical standpoint. Adonis build, I believe he's 6'6", 260 pounds. He's had productive seasons the last couple of years. He's just been plagued by injuries, right? When he was getting heated up, he suffered an Achilles injury against the Jets. Last season he comes back from the Achilles injury. He's ready for the season opener, and then he tears an ACL. So right now he's going to probably be about, I think, 9 months into that rehab process by the time he starts out the regular season. I'm not necessarily certain if he's going to be a full-going training camp or if he's going to begin camp on the PUP. But he's a young player that has the potential to be a double-digit sack producer. He's playing in his fifth-year option this year. He's getting $15 million. But as you know, if you can produce double-digit sacks in the NFL, you're looking at a $100 million contract. So $15 million, $100 million, there's a huge difference. When you pair him with Bradley Chubb and then Chop Robinson, a young player, first-round pick in last year, that really started to come on strong late in the season. 6 sacks, 42 pass rush pressures, which is second only to Micah Parsons. I think you can have a very forceful pass rush for this Miami Dolphins defense.
This AFC East to me is going to be one of the more intriguing divisions because I get it. You got the AFC West that got Patrick Mahomes. You got the reigning MVP in the AFC East right now with a guy like Josh Allen. But my question to all of you is this. Josh Allen has to do a lot, Lisa. Like, he has to be super every week. We talked about Tua Omar with his health. TJ, y'all got a guy that essentially, got a young guy in there. He got the jail with Stephon Diggs and different. And Marvin, you got a new quarterback with the Jets. When it comes to the quarterback position, even with Josh Allen, what has to go right this year outside of health to make sure that, one, my quarterback is healthy for 17 weeks, but two, what's going to have to happen for these quarterbacks to make sure that they performing at the highest level? And I can start with you, Omar.
For me, it starts with the trench play. I remember watching a clip at some point this summer where Tom Brady is talking about how offensive lines, he knew how the caliber of the team and the opponent that he was going against based on how Bill Belichick talked about their offensive line. For me, the game starts in the trenches. It really comes to, can you set the line of scrimmage? Can you open up running lanes? Can you protect your quarterback, especially on those third down situations where the pressure is coming? Right now, they've got James Daniels coming off an Achilles injury. They've got Jonah Savaiinaea, a rookie that they traded a lot of assets to draft early in the second round. Those are the two new additions. And then you got Patrick Paul, who's going to be a rookie starting second-year starting left tackle. They selected him in the second round last year, and they invested a whole year in him, learning under Teron Armstead, who retired this year. So the question is Patrick Paul going to be able to hold it down? And will those two newcomers be able to create a surge in the line of scrimmage and keep Tua's pocket clean? To me, Tua's already proven that he's efficient, effective NFL quarterback, led the league in passing yards, led the league in passer rating, led the league in accuracy in terms of completion percentage. He's done that the last 3 years. What he has to do is prove that he can win those tough, critical games when the pressure mounts. And it's not all him; it's also on his team. They have to play at a higher level as well. But that's what separates the good quarterbacks from the great quarterbacks.
Lisa?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, Josh has to watch his wrist and not take some of those dives that have us all hold our breath, where he's putting his hand right to the ground and we're like. Because he was flagged with some injuries towards the end of the playoffs with his wrist. So it was affecting his throwing. But we really need to make sure our offensive line is not letting people get to him and letting Josh do his thing. But Josh can't win the Super Bowl by himself, right? Like, he has to have help, and having him on the field long spurts of time because the defense isn't doing their job and letting the games get a little bit too close for comfort or ultimately lose in battle. They just need to be more aggressive on both sides of the ball.
TJ?
Based off of the 2024 season, I think that a lot probably has to go right for the Patriots to set Drake May up for the best possible situation. But I'll focus specifically on the run game because it was super ineffective for the Patriots last year. And obviously, one of the worst things you can do for your quarterback is consistently put them in third and long situations. And that's basically where the Patriots lived last season. And this year, I do think that there is reason for optimism that they can be better. Now, a lot of that also relies on the offensive line, who was 32nd in run block win rate last year. So that alone, as Omar and Lisa both mentioned, the trenches is where games are won and lost. But I do think that there can be some internal development. You bring in Will Campbell and Morgan Moses, and then we'll see what happens exactly at center. But Garrett Bradbury, not the best pass blocking center, but he is, at least based off of Pro Football Focus, a pretty good, solid run blocker. And they went out, they have Ramondre Stevenson already as a top 5 highest paid running back in the league. I know he dealt with some fumble issues last year. He's definitely going to need to clean that up. But they also went out and they drafted Travion Henderson in the 2nd round. And I don't think that running back was a position that a lot of people expected the Patriots to attack so early in the draft. But I think that it does sort of reflect the overall goal of Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel, that they want to be able to lean on their defense more. They want to be able to find any way possible to set Drake May up well. And I think that being able to control the tempo a little bit more, put yourself in manageable down and distance is going to be so crucial, as opposed to last year where so often it was Drake May dropping back 3rd and long. Other teams knew what was going to happen. And especially with a young quarterback, it's just such a dangerous game when you're playing so predictable. So I think the running game is going to have to be crucial to see the best version of May.
Marvin?
Yeah, even with our top receiver, Wilson, and his ability to stretch the field and his ability to play in the quick game, the reality is Justin Fields needs to rely on 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I'm hoping that the areas where I think we're good, defense and run game, show up, because we don't want all the pressure on this kid. And at the end of the day, I'm really hoping and believing that we're going to run that ball, that we're going to control the last scrimmage on defense, and our defensive coach Wilkes and our head coach Glenn, put together a plan on defense to help this team out. But for Fields to be successful, we have to be able to run the ball. We have to be able to play defense. And, let that offense evolve as he grows into the offense and becomes comfortable. It's going to be a transition. Again, it's a new system for this guy, and it's been a while since he was the guy. So let's run it. Let's play defense, and then we give him a chance. That's how this works. That's how the Jets are successful offensively at quarterback in this upcoming season.
All right, I am going to get into it a little bit now, deeper with each of you and your teams. So this is my notes and my opinion only. So if you have a problem with any of this, direct it at me, not anybody else. All right, so I'm going to give all of you my key question, and this will be the same for all 4 teams. Key question, a position to watch, a unit I think is going to break out, could be a player or somebody, a specific unit, and will their record be better than 2024? So I did a random spin on who I would go first. So we're going to start with the Patriots. Over under 8.5 wins is the Vegas total. My question for the Patriots: does Drake May have enough weapons in the passing game? That's my question. The league's worst receiving core last year, TJ. Coming off the ACL is Diggs. You got Matt Collins, who I don't really honestly think a lot of. But I do like Kyle Williams from the draft, 3rd-round pick out of Washington State. I think he's a very underrated player. I think he'll do well as a rookie. My position to watch is the offensive line. Drake May has got to be protected better. Last year was just a sieve of an offensive line for the Patriots, and he just needs to be protected better. My breakout unit, you mentioned Christian Barmore, who I do like, but Milton Williams as well. That entire D-line needs to break out for this Patriots team to have a chance in this division. Tua on the run, Josh Allen, we know what he can do, and obviously Justin Fields has that mobility as well. I think the defensive line is one to watch for the Patriots as my kind of breakout unit. And then will their record be better than 2024? I think it can be. TJ, I'm sorry. I think we are hyping up the first year Mike Vrabel playoffs a little too much. I don't think they're going to get there, but I do think they're going to be better in 2025 than they were in 2024. I just don't know if playoffs in the first year, I think that's a little bit much. So that's my preview on the Patriots. And, how he did it in the past, feel free. TJ, you can certainly respond first. In the past, I think we had some of the guys wanted to hear what other people thought first before they responded. But, this is obviously the AFC East, so we can do it however you guys want.
I'll start here. it's hard for the Patriots to be worse than they were last year. And now I've been saying that for a couple of seasons in a row now, and it hasn't quite gotten better. But I do think this is the year where they start to turn things around. I think that to your initial point about the receiving core, I mean, I could have gone on about them being the team's biggest X factor as well for May because they were one of the worst group. And I do think that there's intriguing upside. Obviously, a lot of that is going to depend on whether or not Stephon Diggs will bounce back from that ACL injury. All of the reports around spring training and OTAs are that he's looking good in the amount of practices that he's been to. So he obviously the Patriots have been missing a clear number one wide receiver for years. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Julian Edelman in 2019. I don't know if Diggs is going to reach that mark because there is a good chance that he's going to start the year on the physically unable to perform list. But I think that he brings you game-breaking upside. Mac Hollins, for what it's worth, did have his career high in receiving yards with Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas in 2022, I believe it was. So, you know, we'll see what he can bring there. I think he will especially bring, he has a knack for being a run blocker, so that's probably part of the reason as well. When I talked earlier about prioritizing the run, I think he should help there. And then Kyle Williams is supposed to be a man coverage beater, which is another thing that the Patriots have just gotten no separation out of that receiving core in recent years, and it's going to be so vital for them. And then I think the other, you mentioned the X factor being the defensive line. I think it's going to be particularly important to see what they can get out of their pass rush. Their run defense was atrocious last season. For those of you who saw their game in London against the Jaguars ran it 18 consecutive times against them in the second half and just ran it down their throats. It was abysmal viewing, not the way you want to start your Sunday morning on my end. But I do think that there is room to grow there. Robert Spillane, I think, was a really nice addition this offseason to help out there. Harold Landry as well. Anthony Jennings is one of the better edge-setting defenders in the NFL on that defensive line. But they are really going to need to take a step forward in terms of pass rush. They had just 28 sacks last season. That was last in the NFL. And as much as I am optimistic about their cornerback room, Christian Gonzalez coming off of an all-pro season and signing Carlton Davis, that should be a very good man coverage defense. Their safeties, though, had bad seasons in 2024. Both Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, they were on and off the field. You had Peppers with an off-the-field issue as well. And I think that the back end of that defense is very susceptible. So the Patriots are going to need to generate pressure up front and take some of the pressure off of the deep developing routes, because I do have confidence in Gonzalez and Davis to be able to handle a lot on the perimeter. But I think that those deep strikes could be a real pain for the Patriots if they aren't able to generate more pressure than they did last season.
Before I go to the next team, does anyone else want to chime in regarding the Patriots? Any pushback, anything they want to get clarity on before I go to the next team?
Y'all are so nice on this show. Y'all are the nicest.
Nice.
Y'all are some of the nicest people. I will say this about the Patriots. Am I watching y'all? Everybody does their own version of Hard Knocks. Like everybody kind of does it. So I'm like getting to know the team. Like you, TJ, y'all got a lot of big names. Y'all spent a lot of money. Robert Kraft is either going to be really, really happy he opened up that checkbook, and he's going to say, what are we doing? Because, unfortunately, people think spending money leads to more wins. Well, when you go from one coach to a new coach, I don't care if it is Mike Vrabel, that's a whole new culture. That's a whole new way of doing things. And Christian Gonzalez, to me, is a guy that don't get enough credit for. I mean, he's locked down at the cornerback position. I think Davis is going to really, really help him. I like Jabril Peppers, like you just said, but here's the thing. The NFL is about you got to cheer up your weakness, and that back end is one of your weakest areas on that entire team. I think if they can you got to get your culture right before you get your team right. And I just think that I wonder how much Mike Vrabel is willing to bend. I understand the Patriot way, but it's cool when it's winning. How much is he willing to bend the Patriot way? Because here's the thing: he might not know who Lil Baby is, but he need to know why they listening to him. That's shifting, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he got to listen to it, but at least he got to. Oh, that's a little bit, because I think today's athlete means is saying, look, this ain't back in the day to where you don't have to know what I'm into. You just care about me being as a player. I don't think that works anymore. And the best coaches understand. I got to understand the player, even if I don't understand everything they're doing. So when I'm just saying, if that Patriot way is willing to bend, not break. I don't expect. If I'm not mistaken, I think the owner of the Jets went out and bought like a chain or something. He did. I don't know if it was his, but he did buy one. People don't think that kind of stuff matters, but it does, because it's showing. Oh man, I'm really, really interested in y'all. Why? Because I got grandkids that saying, "Hey, what's up with Sauce Gardner?" So if they're willing to be in TJ, and it's not gonna happen all in 1 year, I think the Patriots got a shot to be really competitive.
I don't think you're giving Mike Vrabel credit for what he did in Tennessee, and he did it his way, not the Patriots' way. They were a physical team, and he comes from Houston. They were a physical team, physical defense. They won in the trenches. They ran the ball. Those are fundamental. Yes, they're fundamental keys to being successful football teams, not the Patriot way. In my opinion, the Patriot way is Tom Brady and his greatness. When you have the greatest quarterback of all time, it helps you compensate for a lot of the issues that you might have had. Like, name me, outside of Randy Moss, name me the elite wide receiver that played under the Tom Brady era. There wasn't one. I think Mike Vrabel has proven that he can create an identity and create a culture. He had a tremendous amount of success in Tennessee. He was at the very top of the list in terms of coaches that people were going to go after and target. And, he went back home. He went back to the organization that he actually played for. So I think that gives them a step above everybody else in terms of creating a new culture.
So you telling me, so what you're saying is, Omar, is because I'm Vrabel and I've proven it as a position coach, as a head coach, I should be able to do the Vrabel way with no pushback, because the greatest New England Patriot coach of all time, arguably the greatest coach of all time, I don't think he put Robert Kraft in his book. I ain't read it, but that's saying something. So I'll be calling it the Vrabel way until I get back with my people. But no, I think the Patriots are going to be a hard out. I know that for certain. They're going to play extremely hard. And like I said, man, the only reason why people listen to anything people do is because they win. You could be the best coach. You could be the best player coach in the world. You can invite them to your wedding. If you ain't winning, people ain't listening. And for Vrabel, at least for right now, he's got a winning track record from what he left at Tennessee and what he's hopefully trying to build in New England. I mean, I'm definitely going to be watching.
I think the authenticity from Vrabel is going to be the big thing, because there's such a mantra of the Patriot way, and that was obviously a Belichick staple. But then there were a few assistant coaches for the Patriots that went on to be head coaches elsewhere, specifically Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, who both quickly flamed out. And a lot of the critiques around them is that they were so stuck in their ways and tried to be above it, and they tried to replicate a lot of what Belichick does. I think what Vrabel does so great is he just seems so true to himself, and I think that you mentioned there's all these little docuseries that are going out. The Patriots are doing one, Forged in Foxborough, and just the command he seems to have over the locker room already seems impactful. And again, I think that staying true to who he is, he has his own experiences, both as a Patriots player himself during some incredible years for the organization, but all of his coaching reputation was made outside of New England with what he did with Tennessee. And I think that him continuing to be, all the stories from former players is how hard-nosed he is and the difficulty of the practices, and he's going to be blunt with you. But I think that that's exactly what the Patriots need, because they have been such a distracted team in recent years.
All right. Marvin, I know you've been sitting over there quietly. I'm going to go ahead and go to your Jets now. 5.5 wins, the overall under for the FanDuel. Here's my key question, and I asked this politely. We had Zach Wilson last year. It was a 7-10 finish in 2023, and then last year it kind of imploded in a way. And so my question is, I hope it doesn't implode again this year for the Jets under Aaron Glenn in his first year. I do think they're going to build off that finish last year. I do think they're going to build this year in year one. I think the Jets are going to be surprisingly frisky, though, in year one under Aaron Glenn. And obviously, they want to end that 14-year playoff drought. So my key question is, does this implode? But if it doesn't, how good can this be in year one? I think it actually can be pretty good in year one.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it all really quick. Position to watch is running back, I think. Breece Hall, obviously, we know what he can do. I love the Tanner Ingstrud from Detroit, the hire there. I really like him. He's a really good coach and hiring for them. I think a Jamar Gibbs type role for Breece Hall is going to fit this Jets offense pretty good. And Braylon Allen, we got some time with him last year. He's a good 1-2 punch there with Breece Hall. My breakout player is your quarterback, Justin Fields. I think this offense is going to be perfect for him. And I think we are going to see a better Justin Fields than Pittsburgh and Chicago combined in New York with the Jets. I'm not saying playoffs, people, but I do think this version of Justin Fields is going to be better than anything that we've ever seen. And then will their record be better than in 2024? That part I'm not sure about. I'm going to lean no, but it's all going to lean on Justin Fields. I think you got a really good defense. I think your offensive line is above average. I think it's going to – and your running game is awesome. It's going to depend on Justin Fields and how well he does in year one.
Yeah, a lot of it obviously is going to be the quarterback. But going back to something Omar has said earlier about Brady, the reality is this. With all the players we have on defense, the stars and the skill position players, none of it matters if we don't get it right up front. We've drafted all offensive linemen the last couple of years. We're starting 4 out of 5 of our draftees, which is good. But at the end of the day, that young O-line that I do believe is above average and can be really good, they're going to have to play well for us to have a chance at it, because Justin Fields has to be on 2 feet. He has to be healthy. And it's going to be there'll be tremendous pressure on him. But for us, it's definitely O-line. I don't see us doing anything above 6 wins if we don't have good O-line play this year, period. In regards to will we be better than last year, I hope. I hope, but again, for the last 49 years, we've had the same result. Look, the Jets are an upcoming team. Justin Fields it's like you said, played well, and I think this can be better than what we saw in his last 2 places. But if Olu and John and Titman and Elijah Vera Tucker and Mimbu don't play together, don't play well, don't play physical, that's going to hurt Breece. That's going to hurt the quarterback. You won't see the receiver do what he's supposed to do. And I say all that because I'm not worried about the defense. I think the defense is going to show up. I think Wilkes and Glenn know what they're doing in addition to the players that we have coming back. I think we know that the receiver can play. We know the running back can play. I think we have something special with this rookie tight end out of LSU. I do. But at the end of the day, if we can get it right from tackle to tackle and have good play, the Jets can be an 11-16. And I said what I said. So.
All right, Marvin. I mean, listen, when it comes to your Jets, I used to live in Jersey. We lived there for about 5 years. I stayed in West New York, New Jersey, real close to the Meadowlands. So right. Jets fans are real. But like my Falcons fans, they can live in an alternate reality sometimes. You know they can do that, Marvin. I say that humbly. This is what I'm gonna say about the Jets. If they can do something that nobody does in football, they're gonna have to practice patience, because in 2024 they was getting rid of everybody. Oh, they blame everybody but Aaron Rodgers. This is everybody's fault but Aaron, right? Everybody. Get rid of his friend. Get rid of the OC. Get rid of the head coach. Get the new head coach. You can't win like that, because if I'm getting rid of the guys that make the decisions and I'm the guy who they make decisions about, I'm nervous. If my last name ain't Williams or Gardner I don't know if I'm going to be here. Can the Jets practice patience with a guy like Justin Fields? Because Do I think he got a raw deal in Chicago? Yeah, because when the last time Chicago had a good quarterback? Rex Grossman. I played with Rex Grossman at Florida. That's the last time they had a solid one. If you look at the Jets, right? The Jets are a tradition-rich team that hasn't had a lot to celebrate as of recent. If they can practice patience, because listen, what Aaron Glenn did up there in Detroit, man. But I think sometimes we got to let go of what you did for one side of the ball when you got to do the whole team. Is Aaron Glenn ready to be, a facilitator and not be so involved with one side? And can they practice patience with a guy like Justin Fields? Because sometimes your greatest ability is also your greatest liability because he's so athletic, right? He does so many great things. Can they practice patience with Justin Fields? And can they live with the fact that Buffalo ain't going nowhere? The Dolphins gonna have a good offense, and the Patriots gonna just try to beat you up into oblivion for 4 quarters. Can they practice patience with Justin?
Ben, you're talking about patience. Like I said out the gate, the Jets been breaking my heart for 49 years. Okay, and I'm still here wearing my green, and Jet fans. Listen, at the end of the day, it's definitely an abusive relationship. It is without question. It's tough. If you're a Jet fan, you're a diehard. You don't just like him, you love him, and you love him so much that you can't stand him. There's a thin line between love and hate. But with last year, the way Rodgers and this guy got fired, that guy got fired. That's leadership. That's just bad leadership. Period. That you live in a culture where that even happens like that, in my opinion. And they've changed that to a degree. So, look, at the end of the day, can we be patient? We've been patient. But the reality is this: we have a decent roster. We got players. We do. We got players. We have players that, if healthy, we should be able to compete in this league, as good in this division. As good as it is. Well, at least with Buffalo and the Jets being a sleeper here. But we'll see. Can we be patient? We've been patient. The time is now, though. We may if it doesn't work with Justin Fields, then we don't really have a plan B of quarterback. And we just signed a bunch of guys to big contracts. So we're gonna have to figure something out without having to blow up this team. But patience, the Jets are patient, man. It's our time. It really is. We haven't had a championship since 68. 69,
Stop crying.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen. Hold on, wait a minute. And the Dolphins are in the same boat. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game since 25. At least the Jets have been in the AFC Championship game. Okay, but during the Mark Sanchez era, that was your great era of the recent years.
Yeah.
If you think about it, especially a lot of these teams, they don't have success unless they win the division. Who's won the division for 25 years? It was Tom Brady for 18, and now it's Josh Allen's era. It's hard to break through when you do not have the best quarterback. And I would argue that both of those quarterbacks are first ballot Hall. Obviously, Tom Brady's the first ballot Hall of Famer. But then Josh Allen, he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory as well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to break through. So I can relate to the disappointment, but I'm sorry, it's not going to change with Justin Fields. Like, what has he done in the league?
Well, listen, I hear what you're saying, but you have other quarterbacks who weren't the best in their division or the best in the league, and they won. I mean, we've seen that before throughout in history. And listen, we don't know what he is yet because this kid is still up and coming. We haven't seen him in a situation where there's continuity, there's players, there's the belief in him, there's excitement for him. So this is a big year for him. And that's why I say to you, for me, the biggest thing going into this season is what the Jets offense looks like in the first few games, what he looks like in the first few games, even though it's going to be a gauntlet. And if they look good in the first few games, regardless of record, and it's a long season, maybe we have a shot at wild card. I don't know. In regards to Buffalo, I mean, yeah, Josh is the best in the division, but at this point, he has as many championships as our guy. So, with that said, I'm just saying, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You still got to play the game, Omar.
True. You're true. But Patrick Mahomes is no slouch neither. I mean, all the great quarterbacks are in the AFC right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't even know if we can name an NFC quarterback in the top 5 of the league right now. That's just the reality.
Well, Ben, do you want to tell them what you've been talking about?
Hold on, wait a minute, Omar. Wait a second. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute.
Ben, tell them what you've been sharing with me.
Who am I missing? Who am I overlooking?
Like Jared Goff, that's not who I'm talking about. Like Matthew Stafford, that's not who I'm talking about. Are we gonna do this with Jalen Hurts? Are we gonna do this, man? I mean, only because
nice.
Hold on.
Just give him a perfect team.
Hold on for a second. Hold on. I'm not gonna Cam Newton him now. I'm not gonna Cam Newton him. But this is what I'm saying. If Omar Kelly got the best team and he the quarterback and he win, the team is also a byproduct of how he plays, not that he plays, right? So this is what happened. When you on the best team when you win, it's everybody but you. But let me tell you what happens when you don't. You Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's on a pretty good team, ain't he?
Yes.
He's been in the Super Bowls, right? But here's the difference. If it's fourth and goal on the 6-yard line and you don't go for it, you kick it and you give it back to Patrick. I guarantee you, if his first name is Josh, last name Adam, if his first name is Justin, last name Fields, they're not going to take the ball out of his hand. You got to live with. So what I'm saying about Jalen Hurts is this. I am not an Eagles fan. I'm a Dirty Birds fan. So y'all don't know misery. I'm going to keep saying, y'all don't know what y'all talk about. But I'm going to say this about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts been to 2 Super Bowls, right? You've been to 2. You won one, lost one. Mm-hmm. Who would have won the MVP had they won the first one? That would have been Jalen too. Y'all remember the first one? And he did it without Saquon, without Jalen Carter. What I'm saying is, if Saquon Barkley did what he did, and they took Saquon away, who was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl? I get the D-line. That was Jalen. And all I'm telling y'all is this. As much as I love Josh Allen, as much as I love Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow,
you're not picking Jalen Hurts over any of them.
I am not saying I'm picking them over him. I am saying this. When we say what a player would do if he was on that team, right? We can only do that. If Jalen played for the Dolphins, would they be as good? Who knows? If Tua played for the Eagles, would they win the Super Bowl? We don't know. And all I'm saying is
Tua won the championship to replacing Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying.
And listen. And he also threw a pass on a running play. And the next year, they benched him in the SEC championship, and Jalen came in to win the SEC. Think about this, Omar. When's the last time somebody went 26-2 and got benched? That's never happened in college football. That happened to Jalen for Tua. And out of Tua, Mac, Bryce, and Tua, it's Jalen, Mac, Bryce, right? And Tua, who's the best out of those 4?
Career,
NFL. Who's the best out of those 4?
Jalen Hurts.
And all I'm saying is this: Jalen Hurts. They thought he was gunshot when he was at Alabama. He go to Oklahoma. You know what he was at Oklahoma? Heisman Trophy runner-up. Wasn't he number 2? Wasn't he number 2 in MVP voting in 2022? He was number 2. All I'm telling y'all is
Carson Wentz was top 2 in MVP voting as well one year. So,
but TJ, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Listen, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant only won MVP 1 year in the NBA. I don't know how much I give MVPs. I'm just telling y'all. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts gets more criticism for being good on a stack team, right? And he's doing his job. At the end of the day, I was saying this: it's what you do, right, when given the situation. Jalen Hurts has the 3rd best winning percentage since he came to the league, only behind Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. When Lamar Jackson said, "Hey man, where they play the AFC Championship game?" He ain't never been there. And I'm not saying Jalen, and just because you ain't better than somebody doesn't mean you're not really, really good at what you do. I'm not comparing him to Joe. I'm not comparing him to Josh Allen. I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. But when Patrick Mahomes is on the field, ain't but too many people can beat him. Ain't too many guys can beat him. And Jalen almost beat him twice. All I'm saying is he might not be top 5. He's number 6. You know why? Because at the end of the day, listen, people are putting Justin Herbert in the top 10. Why? Why is Justin Herbert in the top 10? Because he's 6'6", look like a model, and got a big. Listen, TJ, let me tell you something. TJ, I live in these echo chambers over here, and I'm about to lose my freaking mind. Some of the stuff people be saying, I got stuff. Listen, in a world that Jaden Daniels is getting picked over CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels been in the league 1 year, and I know he did it in 1 year. I'm just telling y'all, the slander for Jalen Hurts, because here's why. You know why you might want to root for him? Because he might be your quarterback one day. He might not be an Eagle forever. And then when you get him, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think what hurts Jalen is the eye test. I think it's style of play. I really believe that. I think when fans watch him play and they see him convert these 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts, and they're doing the
tush push.
Yeah, the tush push. I think that takes from him a little bit. I don't know. You don't see Lamar doing it like that. You don't see Pat doing it like that. You don't see Josh Allen. I mean, they do their sneaks, but this is really part of who he is. Listen, he has the results. He has the wins. He has the wins, the Super Bowl, and all that. But you ask, how can a guy go 26-2 and get benched? To me, that exposes him. That says that everyone else is getting it done except for him. This guy has the results. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's everything he's got, he's deserved. But I think the eye test is what it is with him. I don't think he plays the game the same way other guys do, and I think that hurts him in the eyes of fans. I really believe that.
Lamar Jackson, running back, had 1,900 yards plus rushing last year. Lamar Jackson, running back.
Jalen Hurts' best play is a tush push. That's not good.
Hold on. Did people get mad at Kareem?
That's not good. That's what he's known for. You associate him with that.
It's an unstoppable play.
Here's the thing, though. Hold on. Did people get mad at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the sky hook? Did they get mad at him? It's the most unstoppable play, right, that we ever seen. Right. It don't look good. That's all the tush push is. When done right, it is the most unstoppable play. What you're saying is this, Marvin. If Justin Fields could do it like Jalen, do it. It's because he can't do it like Jalen. Listen. I don't know who invented the moonwalk. I know who perfected it. That would be Mike. Mike did not invent the moonwalk. We can't be mad at a player because he got a play that can't. Listen, you know who do the tush push more than the Eagles do?
Yeah,
the Bills. Mm-hmm. They do it more.
I'm not knocking the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I love that. As a run blocking fullback, I love that. I'm just saying when you ask. When he says, there's no NFC quarterback in the top 5 in the league right now, I understand where that comes from. And I think a lot of that is how he's perceived. And he's so associated with a different style of game that and this dynamic, 3 wides offense that we play in the NFL, they want to see you roll out and throw it. They want to, people, I think it hurts him. That's all I'm saying. He's associated with that play. That's a big play in their offense. It's highly efficient, highly effective. Is it their best short yardage play?
I mean, the entire NFL tried to ban the damn play. So it's. I remember when they played the Miami Dolphins, they extended 4 drives, tush pushing. That's a major turning point when you keep 4 possessions because of the tush push. Woo. So I understand. I do agree. It's probably the style. It's probably he's not getting style points.
Exactly.
And I think if he became more of a scrambler, and he is a scrambler, if he became more of a scrambler and he's got good weaponry, so that's not the issue. And he does win. He produces. So I agree with you, Ben. I think it's probably not fair that we don't associate him and put him in the top 5.
Well, okay. I
get that. I think most people would put Joe Burrow ahead of him, and Joe Burrow has won nothing.
Well, here's the thing, right? I'm just throwing it out there. If somebody, no, Marvin, Omar, TJ, Lisa, Smitty, if a modeling company came and said, we're going to give you millions of dollars to model, right? To model. Are you going to take the money? Or are you going to say, I'm not the most aesthetic? No, you're going to take the money. And people that don't like it don't got to like it. I don't think he's the most handsome. And I'm telling y'all, with Jalen Hurts, he plays for Philly. So let's put it out there. Philly is not the media darling now. People can't stand Philly. Let's put that out there. But sometimes it's who you do it with more than how you do it. Because Joe Burrow was the man coming out of LSU. He got his guy with Jamar Chase, right? He went to the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line we ever seen in football. And since then, we expect them to do it again. Problem is they can't pay their defensive ends. They can't pay their rookies. That's Cincinnati. We're going to leave them alone. What I'm saying is, in the biggest game of the year, who was the best player out there? Twice. That was Jalen. And all I'm telling you is, if the Jets make the playoffs, if the Patriots make the playoffs, obviously Buffalo, they're gonna get in. They're gonna get in. Miami make the playoffs. If Tua has to do a tush push, if Justin have to do a tush push, if May have to do a tush push to win the Super Bowl, you ain't gonna say don't do that play. You're gonna say let's do it.
if they put a statue of Jalen Hurts in the stadium, it'd be of him in the tush push. What do you think about that?
Whoa, Nick Foles. Think about this. Nick Foles got a statue outside of Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Foles.
He does not.
He does.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
He does. Think about this. In a world of statues, Nick Foles got. I'm telling you, Nick Foles has a statue. Nick.
I gotta see this. Hold on.
It's there.
And listen. And all I'm saying is, if Buffalo gets over the hump and wins the Super Bowl, you think Lisa cares how it looks? No, I want to win it.
All right. This is not the NFC East. This is the AFC East. Let's keep it moving. Got two more teams to get to. All right, Lisa, your Bills. 11.5 wins is the over-under for FanDuel. My key question is, can they finally get past the frickin' Chiefs? Can they go to the Super Bowl? They are 0-4 in the postseason against those Bills. Can they do it? To avoid another heartbreaker, Buffalo essentially needs their defense to keep up. I'll talk about that more in a second. My position to watch is Greg Rousseau, is DeMar Hamlin, and that entire defense. I think they had a lot of good free agent signings this year along their defensive line. That's going to help them keep up with the Chiefs this year, and we'll see what happens. But last year, let me make sure my notes say this correctly, 32nd in opponent third down passing conversion rate, allowing opposing passers to convert third downs at a league high 42.9% a clip. So I think that defense is my position to watch, and they had some good free agent signings, like I said, to get there. My position to watch is your running back room. James Cook with the contract. I do like Ray Davis out of Kentucky. Watched him a lot, as Ben knows, at Florida. He ran all over the Gators. Ray Davis at Kentucky. A great backup if James Cook misses times due to contract. But I think the running back room is my position to watch. My breakout player is Josh Palmer and Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman, second-year player, had trouble separating last year. I don't think Josh trusts him quite yet. I think Khalil Shakir and Josh Palmer, who – and don't take it from me, guys. The Bills media people are foaming over Joshua Palmer and what he's doing there at camp. So I think Joshua Palmer is my breakout player for the Bills, along with Khalil Shakir is kind of like my 1B. And then will they be better record-wise than 2024? Yes, I think they're going to win maybe 12, 13 games this year en route to the AFC Championship game. And the question is going to be, can they get past the Chiefs once again? So that's my my Bills preview.
I mean, we have gotten past the Chiefs, just not when it mattered, right? So it's not like we don't know how to crack the code. We just need to figure out how to crack the code when the pressure's on. And I think to your point, Ryan, really the missing link in the past few years and the past few heartbreaks is that the defense definitely gave up the game, and the stat on being 32nd in the league on the third down. Like, come on, like that is all defense, and Josh can only do so much if they're letting the other team run it back right up the field in 30 seconds flat or whatever, 2 minutes, right? So even if we don't have a better record than last year, I think 13, it was a fairly decent record. I would like to see it be better, but I think that everything is lining up, even from if you were a conspiracy theorist on the other side of Josh is now married. It's the end of the stadium, which is very iconic for the region. There's just a renewed energy, and having an ownership team that also is very heavily involved and has gotten it right since taking over has made a huge difference for the team. So
let me ask one question. I want to get everybody else's opinion too. Obviously yours too, Lisa. If the Bills do not win the big game this year, meaning actually, I don't even say if they win it. If they don't get to the Super Bowl, how about that? They can lose the Super Bowl in my scenario here. But if they don't get to the Super Bowl, is Sean McDermott in danger of losing his job? And I say that not because he's a bad coach, but it's one of those things he can't get over that hump. At some point, you've got to get over the hill to the other side. So am I out of my gore here, or is that maybe a fair question?
Listen, John Elway didn't win a Super Bowl till year 15. You know what I mean? That's the reality. But in regards to the coach for Buffalo in today's NFL, I think it depends on how it's happening, on how they're losing, and the fashion in which they're losing these games, losing the big games. That matters in conjunction with what is Josh saying in the locker room and saying to his agent and saying to the media? You know, what energy is he carrying and delivering as well? So is he out? He could be out. It wouldn't shock. We've seen crazier, right? But a lot of that is going to come down to the quarterback and how they're losing if they're not getting it done. That's my opinion.
I think it's really rare that you see this many years of a quarterback head coach combination that hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, and then they actually get over the hump. And I think that I know cross-sport comparisons are very iffy, but as a Boston fan, the Celtics, for example, for a number of years, there was a question of whether to break up their star duo. And I think that the Celtics took the mature route of staying patient and sticking with it because they knew that they were knocking on the doorstep so many times. And sports can just be circumstances of luck a lot of the time. And you do think that if the Bills continue to knock on the door so many times, that one of these times something's going to break their way. But at the same time, if you do stay patient for too long, then you can watch the window pass you by and you can never get it back. So I think the Bills did an excellent job retooling from 2023 to 24. A lot of people, with the departure of Diggs and a lot of their secondary members, a lot of people started to count the Bills out, and they came right back out, and Josh Allen won an MVP. So I think that as long as, Josh Allen is there, Sean McDermott, I thought he did an incredible job with the defense last year of working themselves back into being contenders, but ultimately it's going to come down to, can McDermott and his coaching staff put the defense in position to stop Patrick Mahomes, where even this past year where the Chiefs offense was clearly not themselves, they were still able to outlast the Bills. And that does fall on the shoulders of McDermott. I know he's surpassed, a former defensive coordinator. He's the head coach at this point. But at the same time, that is what he needs to do to help the Bills get over the hump.
Yeah, I would agree with him. A lot of people don't realize that the Bills were rebuilding last year, and they took it that as far as they did. That shows you the caliber of quarterback that they have. And don't disrespect Mac Hollins. I had him in Miami. That's probably one of my favorite players ever to cover in terms of tough SOB. Just plays a physical brand of football, plays it the way I like it to be played.
Go ahead, Lisa. I'll go after you.
No, I was going to say, I know that the consensus in Buffalo is very much that we miss him, right? That he just fit in so well and had such good chemistry with the rest of the team because he's kind of that quirky oddball personality, but also came in and worked really hard. And I think that it speaks to, before Sean McDermott's arrival, there was such a circus of the kind of Rex Ryan style coach where there's not a lot of discipline happening. And Sean McDermott really brought that discipline with him. And one thing about Buffalo sports as a whole, and I guess the city as a whole, is change is very hard. So they will love on where there's results, right? So I think anything could happen. He could have his head on the chopping block, but knowing the organization, they're a little bit more conservative with making those decisions than maybe a different ownership group. So be interesting to see.
And to your point, I don't think Brandon Beane, because as a Panthers fan, I know him very well here in Carolina too. Yeah. He is not given a rookie running back a contract extension. And so James Cook, I would not be surprised, is not going to get the contract extension he's looking for this offseason. And they very well might have to ride with Ray Davis.
And there's a lot of drama too, right? And that's one thing McDermott does not like is drama, right? He's keeps everybody together as a team. And so that's where, Diggs leaving was almost a breath of fresh air in the locker room where it's we can focus on football instead of 20 million other antics that are going on. So it's very interesting because it's starting to give the similar vibes with the James Cook controversy and everybody watching what he's tweeting. Why is this mysterious, right? It's not quite that far, but definitely giving those kind of why is there all this drama vibes? So
I believe Mac. I believe Mac Hollins gonna definitely be a Jet either next year. That way he will have completed all 4 teams, in the AFC because he's played for everybody but the Jets. I mean, the man can wear. He doesn't wear shoes. I don't know. That's his thing. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to him. I mean, he was in Atlanta.
Hey, he's grounded to the earth. Okay?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's listen. He's somewhere right now eating grass in the grass. Ain't nobody gonna say a word to Mac. But I will say this about Sean McDermott. It's not if he goes to the Super Bowl, it's who he plays and if he doesn't win. If he goes against the Rams and loses, he keeps his job. If he loses against Detroit, he don't keep his job because you don't want to lose to a team that ain't never won it just like you. And I'm going to say this. If he goes to the Super Bowl and it's against the Eagles and they beat him with a tush push, they're going to keep him, but that's going to be hard to deal with. Because I'm telling you, the reason why I say it is this. Jim Irsay, may he rest in peace. He said something about Peyton Manning. He was asked one time, how would you rate your experience 14 years with Peyton Manning? And he said we had arguably the best player in football. We went to 2 Super Bowls, won one, lost one. That's a failure. When you got a Josh Allen, a guy that good, they're going to think it's always the coach because everybody else in this division, he don't listen. Josh ain't got a Garrett Wilson. He ain't got a Tyreek Hill. He ain't got a Stephon Diggs. He got guys that can play, but they're not Pro Bowl caliber. But I think that's what scares me about Buffalo. Josh knows I got to be super. First to win it all, he got to be super. And his body hold up that long for that long of a season? I think he's built to do it, but I think Buffalo is going to be one of the more because he's done everything now but win a Super Bowl. Now you're MVP. You know, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills and all these things. I just think for Buffalo, it's so much pressure on the current quarterback that had nothing to do with the history, but he got to live through it. He got to live through it all the time. Oh, we almost Netflix specials and all this stuff. I just think when I think of Buffalo, they got the team to do it. The only thing that bothers me about Buffalo is this. Buffalo does the same thing my Falcons do. They will take an older defensive end, Joey Bosa, and they think he's the difference. Joey Bosa is good. He's a good player, but he ain't much different than Von Miller when he got there. He's not, and I think Von Miller was a better player when he arrived in Buffalo than Joey Bosa. We're gonna see love Greg Rousseau love and what he does. I just think that when you think the key piece of your defense is the 30-year-old defensive end that has the ability to get to the quarterback, but is it consistent? I know we finna get to Omar. He was talking about Phillips. Look, defensive ends, I need to see it consistently. Not that you've done it. How recent have you done it? We'll see. Because like I said, when you're on a team like Buffalo, they're going to ask them to be a piece, not a key piece. I will be watching them Buffalo Bills, no doubt.
Excellent.
All right, Omar, let's get to the Dolphins. Last but certainly not least. All right. Where did my – oh, dang it. Decided to leave me. Hold on. There we go. All right. Over under 8.5 wins for the Miami Dolphins, according to FanDuel. My key question for the Miami Dolphins: can Mike McDaniel win a playoff game and save his job in the process? That is my opinion. I do think he very well could be on the chopping block. Now, I do think if all things considered, if they do decide to keep him, no matter what their record is this year, I think Chris Greer could be the sacrificial lamb of the GM rather than Mike McDaniel personally. But we'll see on that. Position to watch is safety. I think that obviously with the trade, Mika Fitzpatrick definitely helps out that safety room, but that secondary in general needs to be improved a little bit more. They lost Javon Holland to the New York Giants in free agency, and Anthony Weaver, who I really am a big fan of, defensive coordinator down there, I believe can bring Minka back to his all-pro level that he was in Pittsburgh. My breakout player is Chop Robinson, defensive line down there in Miami. I like Bradley Chubb. I like Jaden Phillips, who, like you said, Greek goddess. He built like a Greek god. But Chop Robinson out of Missouri needs to take the next step, and I think he can on this Miami defense. Young and energized, and he'll be able to do that on the D-line. Will they be better record-wise in 2024? I don't think so, only because there's just been too many negatives this offseason. Teron Armstead, you mentioned Patrick Paul starting at left tackle. Teron Armstead, even though he had his health issues, I understand that. He was a dog at left tackle, and that is not something that you're going to lose easily. Jalen Ramsey was a dog. Jonnu Smith was a dog. Very much a lot of – and then Calais Campbell, the old dog, if you will, back to his original team, the Arizona Cardinals. So I do like the Dolphins, but it's been knows and has seen me say this on this show a lot. I'm just not sure about what we're going to get this year. And I'm not even talking about the cold playoff losses. I've taken them to Tua's health. I'm just going to assume Tua's healthy. I just don't know what we're getting with the Dolphins. I might be hyperbole a little bit there, but I just don't know what we're getting. And for that, I don't know how well they're going to do.
I think that this Dolphin season is much akin to the Buffalo Bills 2024 season. They're rebuilding on the fly. Steve Ross, the owner, has consistently put out ridiculous money to build this franchise and pay for veterans and trade players and get assets. This offseason, they said he put his wallet away. The credit card got taken away from Chris Greer. They didn't spend ridiculously. Now, they did make a massive trade that produced Minkah Fitzpatrick, trading Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh for Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 5th-round pick, swap of a 5th and 7th-round pick. And that, to me, was a surprise trade. But you're right. This is an organization where the GM and the head coach, they're probably the individuals outside of the Giants that are on the hottest seat in the NFL. Now, what they've done to do that is make a tremendous amount of effort to change the culture. And that included having to clean out some of those dogs. And I'm not saying that they cleaned out Calais Campbell or Jonnu Smith. That was really a money situation. But getting rid of your best cornerback and not having a veteran cornerback in your room that's been a starter on the boundary in the NFL, they don't have one on their roster. And that's something that they're going to go through training camp. And I can promise you somebody undrafted is probably going to be starting on the boundary at cornerback for the Miami Dolphins. That's just a reality of the situation that they put themselves in. But they have a better chance of getting to 10 wins if Tua can be kept healthy and upright. Tua's averaged 10.7 wins in the NFL all 5 of his first seasons. And that's not just all, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle or the weaponry around him. That's Tua's efficiency. That's his ability to diagnose defense, his ability to throw the ball accurately, his ability to extend plays on third downs. He's a very efficient quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get to 10 wins this season. Now, if Tua's sidelined for another 6 games, you can forget about it. Everybody's getting fired.
I struggle.
Go ahead, TJ.
I struggle to see 10 wins. I wouldn't entirely rule it out. I actually do really like their front 7. I think that it's one of the more underrated groups in the NFL. But I mean, you said it. They traded Jalen Ramsey without really having anything solidified at cornerback. And, I mean, Minkah is, I think, even underrated as well. He doesn't have the eye-popping numbers that he did during his all-pro seasons, but he's still one of the best safeties in the NFL at taking away the deep ball, which is going to be huge because I think he is going to need to do some extra work to maybe make up for some of the shortcomings at cornerback. I've never really been a huge Tua believer in the first place, and this is probably the worst offensive line he's played with since coming into the NFL. Maybe early years, but I think that there are some really glaring weaknesses on this team that, I mean, we've also seen the highs of the Mike McDaniel offense where he's able to just scheme guys open. One of the highest motion rates in the NFL pre-snap that, I mean, when Tyreek Hill is on, he is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and Jalen Waddle, I think, can be much better than he was last season. But I worry about the offensive line and the running game a little bit, and I think defensively they have some game changers, specifically in the pass rush, but that includes Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, both of which have extensive injury history as well. So I don't know if the Dolphins are a team that I could bank on them winning double-digit games.
You can argue with that.
I mean, the Dolphins are definitely going to be very, very intriguing. I mean, Mike McDaniel looked like, I mean, you talk about an offensive genius when everybody was there. When everybody was there, you couldn't stop him. But Omar, I want to get your take on this when it comes to the Dolphins. We talked about getting rid of, Jalen Ramsey. And when you say get rid of Jalen Ramsey, I mean, Jalen Ramsey is still top 5, top 10 cornerback when he's out there. Then you're talking about Jonnu Smith. He set franchise records at the tight end position. You get Minka Fitzpatrick, you got the team that originally drafted him. But I think the most intriguing player for the Dolphins is the guy that just got. Darren Waller is about as intriguing of a player as you've ever seen. Number one, best rapper in the NFL. Just quote me. He is. He just is. The guy got bars for real. But
Ron Armstead would challenge that. But
I'm just saying, D Wall is nice. If D Wall, who's spending a year away from football, whether it's injury, coming out of retirement, obviously listen, 6'6", 245, can run. I mean, but he's been out of football
a year.
Yeah, a year.
Kept himself in great shape.
He did. A guy like Darren Waller can be. Are they ready and willing to potentially not just use him like Jonnu Smith, but potentially run the passing game through him? Because Tyreek going to get a lot of attention, and Jalen Waddle is one of the best Robins. Take nothing away from Devonta Smith, his former teammate. He's one of the best Robins in the NFL. How do you foresee Darren Waller fitting in this Mike McDaniel offense?
It's an interesting question that you asked, because I don't believe that they traded away Jonnu Smith without knowing that they have Darren Waller in their back pocket. And Darren Waller went on interview, and I believe it was with Chucky, John Gruden, and he said the only coaches that I come back and play for is you and Frank Smith, who literally is the Dolphins offense coordinator and led to his breakout season when he became a Pro Bowl talent. And Frank has really helped him walk through his depression and anxiety and drug use. And, I have a lot of compassion for players who walk away from the game when they know it's mentally not healthy for them. He was talking about not enjoying himself with the Giants, not being happy, seeing himself go back to old habits. He didn't specify what those old habits are, but when you have somebody who's battling addiction, put the context clues together. Going through a divorce. So anybody who's been through a divorce, that's a tough time. So he spent a year recalibrating his life, getting things back focused, and now he's trying to see whether or not he loves football again. And he's clearly going to know the offense. He's clearly going to get plays called for him. He's a seamless fit in my mind, for what they want to do in terms of that move tight end, the replacement for Jonnu Smith. And I'm telling you, I don't think the Dolphins would have made that trade if they didn't know that Darren Waller could potentially be an upgrade.
He got the best balls, Omar. I'm telling you, I'm not coming at nobody. I've heard.
You said best balls?
The best bars. BARS. Best rapper.
Okay.
Best bars. I'm not talking about nobody's hands. Listen. Being a retired player, man. I mean, I don't have. I'm a content creator. I don't have much of a life, so I'm around listening to former tight end rapping. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing much these days. I mean,
I listened to it too. It wasn't. You know what I loved about it? It was somebody confessing that he was being transparent and talking about his issues and what he was
therapy.
Going. Yeah, it was his therapy. And
yeah,
that's what music should be. If he had the money to step away and make an album, and that was in his heart, more power to him. Because the one thing I've realized about the NFL, if you're not fully committed to playing this game, it's going to eat you alive.
Yeah, and I think you said a lot when you're talking about a guy like Darren Waller, who's not only, one of the poster child for people who are dealing with addiction. He's willing to be upfront and honest about it. He talked about his time with Baltimore, then he goes out there with the Raiders, and they go to Vegas, then he go to New York. And sometimes as a former player, I don't know if Marvin can speak to this, sometimes you have to give yourself permission to be honest about it. Because you can't. The team wants to help you, but they want to help you to a certain extent. Like we're going to help you. That way, if you come out and say we didn't help you, we've documented it that we did help you. But with a guy like Darren Waller, he said, "Look, man, I'm not asking for permission or forgiveness. I'm gonna do this for me because I know this affects more than just me." So I do commend him. He just happens to be an incredible football player. Like from where he started, this man played receiver at Georgia Tech. And I'm not talking about Calvin Johnson now. They wasn't throwing the ball when he was at Georgia Tech. So no, I'm happy for Darren Waller because, like you said, that's a great point when you say because when they got rid of listen, Jalen cost a lot of money. When they got rid of Jonnu was like, huh? Like I'm going to Pittsburgh. Two people was mad at the Jonnu Smith trade. One, Mrs. Smith, because she got to go to Pittsburgh, Miami, no taxes, and Pat Frymuth. Pat Frymuth out at Pittsburgh, like, that's what we doing? This ain't Darnell Washington as a blocking tight end. This is a guy that can go out there and catch that thing.
Listen, that trade had been out there for about 5 weeks before it. When they intentionally put out, hey, there's trade talks for Jonnu Smith with Pittsburgh. They're letting you know what time it is. And Miami wasn't willing to pay him, extend his contract. They had him under contract for $4 million. Jonnu said, I put up career numbers. I'm approaching 30. I want myself a raise. Pittsburgh gave him $12 million extra dollars. So he's now at $8 million a year. So more power to him. Hey, if you could get it, get it.
All right. Well, we're at 90 minutes. I wanted to kind of wrap things up and close this out here. Last two from me. And as you answer these questions, if there's something that you guys and gals want to raise too that we haven't talked about, definitely feel free. We can certainly go over a little bit as well. The questions that I sent most of you before, is there a player on the other team in the AFC East that's not your team that you would take on your team? And again, I know you would all take Josh Allen, obviously, but maybe something not as obvious that you really like as a fan on one of the other 3 teams in the division.
The Gonzalez kid, cornerback from New England. I saw him really lock down Tyreek Hill his rookie season before he tore his ACL. That kid was a baller, and I'd like to see him second year coming off an ACL injury.
Yeah, that week 2 game, his rookie year against the Dolphins, was kind of his coming out party, and Tyreek gave him a bunch of praise as well on social media. So that was Christian Gonzalez. It's good to have a stud corner on the team for sure. My pick would be Garrett Wilson. I'm such a huge fan of his. He, despite just a mess of a quarterback room, he just produces year in, year out and makes some of the most spectacular catches along the way. And I think it's going to be really cool to watch him with Justin Fields. I believe they were teammates at Ohio State, so a little bit of a reunion there. But I would sure rather see him in a Patriots jersey if possible. But that is good for the Jets that they were able to just lock him down the other week.
I have to agree with TJ. Garrett Wilson. Josh Allen needs a weaponry around him. We've got some up-and-coming guys that are rebuilding, but we're not quite at that. And maybe they'll break out this year, but having additional, help for him to run the ball is super important for them to win the Super Bowl. So that's my pick.
Marvin.
Yeah, the Jets didn't go out and get a number 2 receiver, and I think we could have benefited from having somebody opposite of Garrett. With that said, I'd love to have Tyreek Hill on my team.
You ain't lying.
No, listen, my first response to the question was Josh Allen, right? But as I'm thinking through it and you take him off the list, we could use number 2 receiver. Again, it's all about these first few games, what happens with our young quarterback.
Number 2? Tyreek's like number 2.
Yeah, to Garrett Wilson at this point, coming off to his year last year, number 2.
No, it could definitely be discussed. The one thing I will say about Tyreek is, and he's proven that he's still got the speed, running the 10-1-5 in the 100-meter. He's lost a little bit of weight. He's still the most electric player I've ever seen in a football uniform, and that's unreal. Mm-hmm. I could tell you when he practices and practices, it's crazy. So it'll be interesting to see how much he still has. He's playing for a new he's in a contract year. Let's be real about it. He's not making $40 million next year. So he's playing for a new contract, and he knows that. And he's going through a lot of life adversity right now with his divorce and however maybe baby mamas he's got this year coming up, or whatever the situation is with Tyreek. So he knows it's time to deliver.
All right, my last question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he's nice, man. Tyreek Hill, man. I mean, I'm just saying. Listen, Randy Moss, I respect you too. Listen, older players, stop talking about the current players. Chris Carter, stop talking about this. Is my PSA. Stop talking about guys like Chad Ocho. Come on, man. No one wins with a family feud. Tyreek Hill is the Randy Moss of short receivers. That's what he is. He is the Randy Moss of them. Because Christian Gonzalez did it. Ain't too many cornerbacks can say I can get in front of him. Tyreek Hill, man, stop playing, man. 1,700 yards back-to-back seasons. How tall is it, Omar? 5'9", 5'10"?
No, he's about 5. He's about 5'10". 5'10". I give him 5'10".
Nice, and he nice. Listen, was just out there with the, he was just out there at Chad Ochocinco's receiver camp, and I saw Jamar Chase. I saw Sutton. When Tyreek was moving, I'm like, are they speeding up this freaking camera? That dude can move, man. That dude was built to do what he does. Shout out to the Cheetah.
All right, last one from me, guys. Give me a prediction on how you think your team's going to do this year, and it doesn't have to be a record prediction. I just more mean like, what do you see kind of as the end goal for your team this year? It can be as general or as specific as you want it to be. Kind of how do you see your team finishing in 2025?
Listen, the Jets, again, we start off our first 6 games are highly competitive, very tough. As I go through them, I can see us, 2-5, 1-5. I can see something like that. So realistically, Jets, we're looking at an 8-9 season, I think. I hate to say that, but that's just where I'm at. Unless they show me something in those first. Again, I've said those first few games are everything. If they show something, if they win 3 out of 4 games, 2 out of 3 games, then maybe at that point I'll look at it differently. But I'm looking at an 8-9, 9-8 season. Honestly.
Marvin, I always find it interesting when teams change their coaches. People don't realize that, hey, it takes a minute for a new team to learn a new offense.
Yes,
and they always
practice less.
Yeah, they always start to play better in the second half of the year. For me, my bold prediction is on November 16th, the Dolphins are playing the Washington Commanders in Madrid, Spain. I think that will potentially be Mike McDaniel's final game, or he'll get to carry on his job and keep it. I think that game that comes probably 3/4 into the season. I believe there's 6 more games left in the season. We could see Anthony Weaver taking over as the Dolphins head coach. And it really comes down to how will your team perform before you get to that point.
The biggest thing for the Patriots this year is playing competitive football through the end of the year, where these past couple of seasons, it has just gone so south so quick that the Patriots have been in this kind of middling area where changes at quarterback and half the fan base wants them to lose. I think the Patriots are going to be in the mix this season. They have, according to Sharp Football Analysis, the second easiest schedule in the league. Now, schedule projections always can be, tossed out the window a few weeks into the season. I don't think the Patriots have earned the benefit of the doubt to just look, they have an easy enough schedule that you can pencil them in for X amount of wins. But I do think that they're going to have a number. They don't have that many extremely difficult matchups outside of the division, the Ravens really being the biggest one, and that one's later in the year. So I think the Patriots are going to be playing competitive football. I think that Drake May is going to have a legitimate chance this year to start to play meaningful football. Most of the time when he was playing in these games, they weren't actually having a chance to win. So I think that Patriots can be in the mix this year, probably come up short of the playoffs, but I think that 9 wins is a realistic target for them. And again, more than anything, I think it's just about continuing to set a foundation for the next handful of years with Vrabel, with May, and having something positive to go off into the offseason?
So I think, I'm a delusional Buffalo fan because even we're in the good years now, but even in the bad years, we always say we're going to the Super Bowl, right? It doesn't matter if we were 0-16 years before, we're going to the Super Bowl. But I think the pressure is on for us, right? We've gotten to the AFC Championship. We've had to watch the Chiefs become victors. And for us, that's just a special place. It goes back to the Tom Brady era of the Patriots where we couldn't break through, right? And it was a huge adjective for our fan base and for our locker room. So right now that attention is at the Chiefs. So there's two goals: is we need to get to the big game, and at some point in the playoffs, we absolutely need to annihilate the Chiefs. So that's where we're at. And not just be annihilate them.
Listen, when it comes to and Omar kind of said it, man. And when we were talking about it, look, he said the best team, this division goes through the team that wins the division. Hashtag tagline. This is win the division, whether you either win the division or you just in the division. But I want to break it down to the 4 C's. I always break down when it comes to these divisions. You got culture, you got creative, you got the cycle, you got the circus. The culture, that's the Bills. They got the best culture in this division. That's why they win it. I think the Dolphins going to have to be creative this year. They're going to have to be because when you lose what they've lost, you got to be creative on offense, defense. I think the Patriots are going through a cycle because you're cycling in a brand new, resume. We talked about, the Vrabel way, not the Patriot way. And until the Jets prove me different, the Jets are the circus. Not because they are skeptical. It's because at the end of the day, when you look at Aaron Rodgers has set this organization back some years because when you let one player dictate everything, this is what happens. And I don't know how many games the Jets gonna win, Marvin. Just win the first one, please. Beat Pittsburgh, and I want Justin Fields to look at Mike Tomlin and say, "You wanted him? Cool. That's who you wanted." Mike Tomlin. Listen, Mike Tomlin is known for 2 things: never have a losing record, and he is the worst at picking quarterbacks. He cannot pick them. And he didn't pick Ben Roethlisberger. He inherited Ben Roethlisberger. He didn't pick him. Just saying.
Hey, listen, from your mouth to God's ears. I hope. Listen, nobody's gonna be praying for these Jets more than Marvin Powell III going into Week 1 against some Steelers. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, those first few games are everything.
Listen, y'all have been the nicest panel
I was gonna say
I've ever seen. I mean, listen, I love the AFC East because y'all genuinely don't like each other either. Y'all are very respectful. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, and Marvin, like I said, I used to live in Jersey. If I ask you a Jets fan, I'm not being disrespectful. I don't know. I'm just. What do you mean? Like, I mean, are you a Jets fan? And they'll say, like, do I look like a Giants fan? Well, sir, you got on a white shirt. I don't know what you are. I'm asking you. I'm just saying, love the Dolphins. Omar, love what you do, man. Keep doing what you do down there with them Dolphins, man. TJ, it's gonna be an incredible year. Mike Vrabel comes out with his fist balled up. He's gonna punch you in the mouth, play after play after play. And Lisa, well, you're a Bills fan. I mean, your life is pretty good at this point of your life. Ain't nothing really outside of the Super Bowl, man. Y'all talk a bunch of trash. I just got one question, Lisa. I mean, is it ranch or blue cheese?
It is blue cheese.
I'm just asking. I am just asking.
So if you ask for ranch in the city of Buffalo, they're going to look at you a little funny, and you may not get it. So it's either and no blue cheese at all with no ranch is totally acceptable. That is an acceptable.
Listen, I am just asking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here to help.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, that is a great place to end it here on Winning the Division, episode 54 of the AFC East preview. The Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, and the New England Patriots. For Omar, for Lisa, for TJ, for Marvin Powell, for Ben Troupe, I am Ryan Smith. This has been Winning the Division, episode 54. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you guys next week for our next edition for Division Previews.